It's in Psalm 61:2 that we read these words of David, where he says, "From the ends of the earth, I have cried to you. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I." If you can remember back a few years, for me that's probably a few more than most of you here, you might remember playing a game as a child called Follow the Leader. It's where a nominated person was at the front and they would do different runs, different jumps, different movements. And the aim of the game was that you would go behind them and try to copy exactly what they did, what they were doing. Now we find ourselves here looking at a Psalm of David. And in this Psalm, David is in fact crying out to God. He's asking God to listen to his prayer. And it's very heartfelt. We read that he's saying, "I cry out to you, God." It's with deep longing to the place where we see that David's overwhelmed by everything going on in his life, a bit like we get. But in a very subtle way, David does something. He answers the question that he's asking God. He answers the question by saying, "When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that's higher than I." He senses trouble. There's possible anxiety at work here and the sense of feeling entrapment. But his response to all of this was to be honest and first of all admitting that he needs help, where he's at and what he's truly feeling. Then he speaks to God and in a way himself by answering his cry, his longing, by saying, "Lead me to the rock that's higher than I." In the midst of trial, David brings himself right back to the path where he's planted. We will never be led along God's path for us if we keep continually walking our own and choosing our own directions. David knew but and reminded himself, he was speaking to himself of God's word, of God's previous faithfulness, of God's promises, covenantal promise. And he knew fine well that God is his leader, and his leader can and will lead him to safety upon the immovable rock of himself. This rock is not like human rocks that we see around, but indeed is more powerful rock that is spiritual in nature and able to hold the weight of every single saint and every saint's troubles who will ever live and who call upon the name of the Lord. Firmly, saints, we plant our feet upon him who can hold our weight, remove our troubles, calm our fears. And for those of us who choose to follow him, the promise that he'll lead us to a higher place. That higher place signifies something. It signifies that we've been rescued. It signifies elevation. It signifies the sense of being out of reach of the touch of the enemy and the cares of this world. There is nothing more beautiful than following our great leader, our Redeemer, keeping in step with his Spirit, who constantly leads us into all truth and carries us up into safety when troubled waters come crashing down around us. But it's not only here that we are elevated when he leads us to the high place. It is that we see that God is our rock and high tower, and we could never physically or emotionally get there without him leading us. He has to be the one that leads us. We were the lowly, sightless, unable to save ourselves, but are now under his great care. The one who has brought us up by his mighty power, and he alone is the same one who elevates us to safety. From the high vantage point, we can see all that's below us. From when we're upon the rock, we can look down and see everything that's coming and trying to attack us. And we can stay based upon him till it all passes by, or until we're strong enough to go back down into the fight. Friends, it's God who's leading us. We never again have to fear being led into danger, for he only leads us when we're on his path into a high place of safety. Maybe it's our cry this morning. Oh Lord, lead us. Lead us. Maybe it's our cry this morning in our song. Lord, lead us to the rock that is higher than I.